Let's run down your top 5. Jim Lyons takes 5th in a GMC truck. Carl Staples Chevrolet was 4th. In 3rd place tonight, Charlie Lowe of Ford. 2nd place goes to Tony Osteen of Ford, but your champion in this modified class, the Chevrolet of Terry Davis and the Super Thing out of Tappahannock, Virginia. Now, when we come back, get ready to rock and roll with some real power. Modified tractors straight ahead on ESPN. Welcome back to Greensboro Colliseum, a packed house ready to rock and roll with the modified 7,200-pound tractor division of the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series. And our test puller tonight is going to be Robert Elliott. He calls his tractor the Fancy Farmer. He is out of Fancy Farms, Kentucky, and there's one of our little fans that is ready to get into the action.
Well, Elliott relies on the Millerton engines for horsepower. These engines were dominant in the sport of drag racing a few years ago. They make a tremendous amount of horsepower, and that's what it's going to take in this class. The earlier class we saw, they were trying to, oh, he had to hit the brake and pull it down. Now, this will be a wheel speed class, Richard. That's the only way you're going to get it on the other end is to spin those tires.
Elliott goes 121.72 now. Full pull is 145 feet. We'll have to wait and see if the sled will be determined official and whether or not Robert's going to accept that pulling distance. As we get ready next for John Powell, the Mr. Budweiser tractor. John is from right down the road, Apex, North Carolina.
Well, Richard, we just received word the sled is official. The class is underway.
And with John Powell, one thing to keep an eye on is his wheel speed. Arnie, he's got a brand new set of tires on that tractor.
Yeah, tire technology, a big part of this sport. He puts the horsepower to the track. Look at that, pulls down. Rich, he actually digs all the way through the dirt into the concrete floor. Those tires are definitely working.
A great distance, 143.25. John Powell is our new leader.
Okay, John, the new tire combination seemed to work for you.
Yeah, it's the first run on the new tires, and we was experimenting now with the air pressure, but I think it's going to be the tire to have.
One thing we noticed, the tires are getting good bite, but they're throwing a whole lot of dirt up into the sled. Now, you have to pull that dirt. Do you think that's going to hurt you, or will you adjust the tire through the pressure, or what?
Yeah, we need to adjust the tires a little bit. This is our first run on them, so we got some experimenting to do.
Well, here comes a real fan favorite out next. Big John Carlton, the Virginia farmer. He's out of Little Plymouth, Virginia. 47 years of age. He's been on the circuit 6 years Army, and he's got a lot of wins under his belt.
He relies on the supercharged engines to make his horsepower ×3. Kind of an interesting guy, Richard. If they gave an award away just for a good guy, he would definitely be in a running for it.
Now let's see if he can get a good distance out of that awesome-looking tractor.
Well, he goes way up on the RPM. The ground speed is not that good. He's going to be short.
He's going to be way short. 127.99 for Big John Carlton out of Little Plymouth, Virginia. The Virginia farmer is not going to win it tonight.
John, how do you guys figure out how to get the horsepower to stick to this track? You're just digging ruts all the way down through there.
I don't know. I missed it. I tried to run too high a gear. I should run a little bit lower gear right there.
Do you think the track's going to get better or it's going to go away, John?
No, I think it probably will go away.
So that's bad news for our next 3 tractor pullers. There's one of our little fans here in Greensboro. You know, our next puller scheduled out is Dave Walsh, the Irish Challenger. He is part of a brother pulling team that runs the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series circuit. Dan and Dave Walsh out of Mouston, Wisconsin, and earlier this afternoon, Army spent time with them.
The family concept in motorsport is nothing new in America. However, the Walsh brothers out of Wisconsin bring a new meaning to it. They're chasing the national points not in one class of competition, but in 2 classes. Standing with me right now are Dave and Dan Walsh, who will be competing for these Redman points. Fellas, tell us a little bit about your involvement in the sport. One of the quick questions that comes to my mind, how did you get involved in this sport?
Well, our dad started about 30 years ago, and he started there, and we started pulling when we were little, and we just gradually grew into it and got bigger and bigger into it.
Now, Dan, this time last year, you actually were involved in an incident at Louisville, Kentucky at the National Farm Machinery Show where the pulling truck that you drive was actually torn in half. You had to rebuild the truck. The combination seemed to really come in for you after you rebuilt the truck because you're on a tear now for these points.
Well, when it broke, I had to build a whole new frame. So what we did is lengthen it out all the way. We took our center weight out of it, so most of the weight's on the front or the rear. And, well, we did a few other things, and it's working real well now.
Okay, to compete for these national championship Redman points, you have chosen the most expensive engine in the motorsporting world, that being the area's racing engines. Why that particular engine for this particular championship point chase?
Well, I think what you need is wheel speed, and to get it, you gotta have power, and money don't really bother us, but if you want to have power, you gotta get the best.
Can the Walsh brothers win twin championships in 1989 on the Redman?
Well, we got a lot of money invested, a lot of time, and this summer we're gonna run for the Redman TNT points, and I think we'll win it.
Can you take that two-wheel drive? I'm gonna nail you guys. I'm gonna go straight to you. Are you gonna be the national champion to beat this year?
I sure plan on it. I'm gonna be the new one.
That's in the two-wheel drive. Modified tractor, can you win the national championship?
Yes, I think I can.
Oh, when we come back, we're going to find out if all the money invested by Dave Walsh in that Irish Challenger tractor can pay off. It's 3 tractors to go in a moment on ESPN. In baseball, it's 3 strikes and you're out. In Greensboro, North Carolina, 3 pullers to go to try to beat 143.25. That is our lead distance by John Powell as we get ready for Dave Walsh, the Irish Challenger out of Mouston, Wisconsin.
Richard, you got to remember, our leader pulled early in the field. We're down to the final 3. A definitely horsepower track. We've got horsepower sitting on the starting line. Any of the 3 remaining could definitely go into the lead. The lead being anything on the other side of a 143, pull being 145, and Walsh is pull barrels wide open. Look at this run. The big barrels on the engine are wide open. He puts it out of here.
A full pull, our first one of the night, a full pull for Dave Walsh on a track that obviously has suddenly gotten better.
Well, Dave, you just showed it can be done, but you got to work to do it.
Yeah, I kind of rode the left side of the track where nobody gone yet, and I think helped there.
Awfully close to going out of bounds. Were you worried about that?
I was kind of watching it, but I was riding the right brake, but I was kind of watching it, trying to keep it in.
Can you hang on and win it tonight?
I think I will.
So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, new light is shed on the competition. Army, obviously the track has gotten a lot better as we get ready next for Paul Norman, the all-pro war wagon out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm amazed. All the pullers saying the track was getting terrible. There's John Powell, the guy was just knocked off out of the lead. They were saying the track was terrible, and then we get a full pull.
The full pulls result in nothing but just brute horsepower. Watch the all-pro war wagon right here. He's going to do the same thing. That's right, back to back. But what it took was about a 160 mile an hour wheel speed to get that sled on the other side of 145 feet.
Another full pull, this one by Paul Norman from Charlotte, North Carolina.
You're going to be coming back in a pull-off. Now, what adjustments are you going to make for the pull-off? Oh, definitely, Army. The all-pro autoparts war wagon was heavy on the nose. We were just way too heavy. It never really lifted and hooked like we wanted it to, so we'll definitely be moving 100 to the rear. Hopefully, we'll be able to catch him in the pull-off.
We've got 2 tractors in the pull-off. Are we going to make it 3 as John Heilman and the Levi Garrett tractor out next out of Rockford, Ohio. John is our final official puller tonight. Then we're going to have a pull-off.
Tractor goes by the name of Ohio Gold. Now, keep one thing in mind. Heilman backs the sled to the exact same spot that Walsh ran, so he's going to be running in his groove. The difference here, Heilman relies on Chevrolet for horsepower. The Walsh brothers and Norman use the Arias engine for their horsepower. A lot of shimmy in the chassis. It's trying to hook. He's going to be close. He's trying to muscle it on the other end, Richard.
He shook, he rattled, but he did not roll enough. Only 144.42 for John Heilman. So he is out of the competition as now we're going to weigh that sled heavier and get ready for a pull-off, Army.
Richard, they're going to put about 2,000 pounds more weight in the sled and then go back one-on-one. One out of Wisconsin and one out of North Carolina.
As we get ready for Dave Walsh, who will be our first puller in the pull-off, does either of these guys have an advantage being first or being second in the pull-off?
I wouldn't think, really, I would want to go second. I would want to watch the man in front of me to see what he does. The big difference here is the way the engines are set on a vehicle. Walsh, you notice, has 2 engines on the right side, 1 engine on the left. Norman has 3 engines straight in a row. I believe the 3 engines straight in a row is the way to go on this particular track, but Walsh is laying down an awfully good run with an awfully heavy sled. Boy, they really tightened that sled up, Richard.
So you, in essence, have said you think Paul Norman will win it, as we see Dave Walsh's distance of 125.98. That will be the distance that Norman is going to have to beat to win it here in Greensboro. And I don't know, maybe she's a Paul Norman fan.
A lot of people in this part of the country are Paul Norman fans. The War Wagon, he's a charger in the sport, and I'll guarantee you he knows where that 125-foot mark is. He is going to try to go hard on the other side of it. I believe just the way the chassis is set up with all the engines in a row, Norman's the man to beat. The wheel speed's there. Look at here. Norman's looking good.
It's going to be close.
No, he's looking awfully good. Horsepower all the way to the end.
He has done it. 128.20. Paul Norman and the All-Pro War Wagon from right down the road in Charlotte, North Carolina, wins it before the hometown fans here in Greensboro, North Carolina.
You took the win tonight. Congratulations. Thank you, Army. Walsh Brothers laid down a run. I told Joe Allman, my crewman back there, that I didn't think there's no way we could make that run, but good old Tony Osteen come through for us again, found us another good spot to bring it out. It was perfect. Couldn't ask for anything better.
Tell you what, Paul Norman, a happy son of a gun. He's your winner tonight as we show you a replay of that winning pull. And also, we're going to run the top 5 for you. Army, it was an awesome show of power.
You know, it's amazing. The combination it took to win tonight, Richard, was 3 $30,000 engines and 160-mile-an-hour wheel speed just to go 145 feet.
So once again, our congratulations to Paul Norman, the winner in a pull-off over Dave Walsh, and our many thanks to the great fans of Greensboro, North Carolina. That's going to do it for now. For Army Armstrong, I'm Richard Leek. We'll see you again on the tracks across America.
Join us next time for Power Tracks, the most powerful sport on earth. Brought to you by TNT Motorsports, the nation's leader in pulling and monster truck racing.
Turning the